It was supposed to be an ordinary night in a quiet college town, friends returning home after a long Saturday, laughter, comfort, safety. But just a few hours later, that house on King Road would become the scene of one of the most horrifying crimes in modern history. This is the chilling story of the Idaho College Murders. The four victims were University of Idaho students. Kaylee Goncalves was preparing to graduate early and start a new job in Texas. Her best friend since childhood, Madison Mogan, shared everything with her. They were inseparable. Zana Kernadel loved to laugh and was known for her energy. That night, she was with her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, a triplet who was deeply loved by his family. Together, they made plans, dreamed of the future, and lived the college life most young people do. Their home, 112 King Road, was a 3-story rental known as a student hangout, 6 bedrooms in total. That night, 2 other roommates were there as well, fast asleep on the ground floor. On November 12, 2022, the victims enjoyed what seemed like a normal Saturday. Kaylee and Madison went downtown to the Corner Club, a popular student bar. Later, around 1:40 a.m., surveillance cameras captured them at a food truck, laughing and ordering food. These would become some of the last images of them alive. Meanwhile, Zana and Ethan were at a party at the Sigma Chi fraternity house. Around 1:45 a.m., they returned to Zana's bedroom at King Road. By 2 a.m., all 4 were back home. Between 2:30 and 4 a.m., Kaylee made several calls to her ex-boyfriend, but none were answered. Police later ruled him out as a suspect. Around 4 a.m., investigators believe the killer entered through the sliding glass door in the kitchen. Inside the quiet house, the intruder moved from floor to floor. Kaylee and Madison were attacked while asleep in the same bed on the 3rd floor. Zana and Ethan were murdered on the 2nd floor. The weapon, a large military-style knife. The violence was swift, brutal, and deeply personal. One surviving roommate later reported hearing noises, crying, and a voice softly saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Moments later, she saw a masked figure in black walking toward the back exit. Frozen in fear, she locked her door. Hours would pass before anyone called for help. At 11:58 a.m., nearly 8 hours after the murders, a 911 call was made from one of the surviving roommates' phones. The caller reported an unconscious person. But when police arrived, they uncovered the horrifying truth. 4 students, brutally stabbed to death in their own home. The murder shattered the small town of Moscow, Idaho. Students fled campus, parents demanded answers, and a once quiet community was suddenly living in fear.
Pretty much they were in the main room. I heard them dancing and laughing. Kaylee went upstairs and she screamed because someone from the room, she ran downstairs. And I kept calling her name and she wouldn't answer. And I saw the guy. I actually locked the door and I ran downstairs. We don't know what. And then I heard someone in the bathroom and I heard her crying and I heard some guy say that you're gonna be okay, I'm gonna help you. And I kept calling her name but she wasn't answering. And then I opened the door for a second and I saw this guy and he was not insanely tall, but he was wearing all black and like this mask which is covering his forehead.
For weeks, investigators released little information, but they were quietly following a trail. Surveillance cameras caught a white Hyundai Elantra circling the neighborhood multiple times between 3:30 and 4:20 a.m. The car became a critical lead. It was traced to Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old criminology PhD student at Washington State University, just 10 miles away. Kohberger had studied criminal justice, posted surveys online asking criminals how they selected their victims, and had an unsettling fascination with violent crime. Cell phone records revealed his device had been near the victim's home at least 12 times before the murders. And the most damning evidence, DNA found on the knife sheath at the scene matched Kohberger's. On December 30th, 2022, police arrested Kohberger at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. He was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. Investigators seized his car, computers, and even trash from his house, all adding to the mountain of evidence. The case quickly became one of the most high-profile murder investigations in America. Prosecutors announced they would seek the death penalty. Kohberger maintains his innocence and his trial is ongoing. For the families, the pain is unimaginable. 4 young lives filled with promise were stolen in a single night. Their memory now lives on through candlelight vigils, community tributes, and the voices of grieving parents demanding justice. The Idaho College Murders tore apart a community and left the world asking, why? Why would a criminology student, someone who studied crime, allegedly commit one so senseless and brutal? Until the trial reveals the full truth, we may never know the answers. What we do know is that even in the safest places, darkness can find its way inside,